Hi everyone, Lolly here. I'm finally going to do the flip through of my giant art book and be done with that project. So I promised a few people that we would do just kind of a walkthrough of it. It started out as just a small little sketchbook, and it has evolved into this. And it stayed in the art book cover forever. That was all painted on, and I was going to leave it like that, but finally the spine was giving way because it was just a small spine, so the book was curled, and so I knew it needed to be bound somehow. I can't even believe all of this was in there, so you can imagine how distorted it was. But so I got the cardboard, made the frame. The pages had really curls. I had a hard time with this, getting them straight onto the binding there, but and then I had no idea what I wanted to cover it with. Scrapbook paper, did I want to paint it, did I want to do embellishments, mixed media? I could not decide on what to do with this poor cover. So I had the cardboard on there forever. It sat around, and when I was cleaning out a closet, I found a bag from my trip to visit my kids, my son and his family in Florida, and we went to Margaritaville. And I am a huge Jimmy Buffett nerd, and so I thought, how funny, when I'm long gone, this will stay behind and my kids will say, oh my gosh, that's so mom. So anyway, we're gonna flip through here. This is my book when I'm learning. I have been doing journals and crafting for a long time, but I wanted to try my hand at mixed media and painting and drawing and different things like that. So this is my book of try this, watch some YouTube videos, try to follow along, things like that. So that's what this book is. So I like grungy, kind of messy work. So if it's not your taste, you could at least, be inspired to start your own book, things like that, for yourself. So there's my cover. This, Laura, came on junk mail the other day, and so I cut my name out and stuck it on there. And the bag for the Jimmy Buffett, the Margaritaville store, was a bag, and I just left the handles, and I can really pick it up and carry it by the handles. So I think I'm going to put some kind of closure on here, and then I could just carry it like that. So these are some of my very few pieces. This would have been maybe May of 2018. So on the other side of this was a little pencil drawing of the car I had just bought, and so that was May of 2018. So very new to all of this, just starting out. So this, I came back just not too long ago and added this flap to these two pages just because I had learned something else. And so that's my little baby picture I put on there. It wasn't really great, you couldn't really see it, so I put that on there. So just practicing making out of cardboard, corrugated board, things like that. So this was a picture that I cut out. I rosied her cheeks a little bit. Her arm was behind her. This was not even her head, but I loved her head. Embellished her headdress. Put this on there. It was actually a mermaid. But anyway, I cut her arm and then placed it here so it would fit actually on the little cutout. And this was just practicing circles, splatters, using bubble wrap, things like that. So that's those pages were. Those were just practicing that. This was practicing. I had some new chalk, I think it is, watercolor, and just adding the watercolor and putting some color on paper. And then this is just the Tim Holtz tissue there with the different colors on it. So that's all that was. Some of these are still stuck. Makes me kind of sad. I used Mod Podge on this page, and it's a year old and it still sticks. So I have a little baking soda on here, just a little powdery something so it doesn't stick as bad. So I have 5 hearts for my 5 kids, and that's what that is. Just practicing putting paste down on a stencil. This was my first, it's my little boat, and I went back later and went around it in a marker, so I don't love that part, and I should have made this a little straighter, but I was just learning. So learning to stencil, that kind of thing on here. So this was a book I have from Neiman Marcus, and it's all the really expensive, elaborate things you can buy and you could buy a carousel, and you could buy this little gypsy wagon. And so I put it on there just with a little bit of bling. Oh, it broke. Just because, you know, it was just so over the top. You could buy a hot air balloon, that kind of thing. So again, just a little page just to practice some techniques, some doing the little stitching around the pages, cutting out words, making flowers. These were actually stickers that I kind of dressed up with the white marker. So I'm just going to flip through a little quickly because it's kind of big and I don't want to keep you forever here. So again, just learning to cut out words, putting backgrounds down, and then covering over the top of those. Wherever you are there on purpose, by my choice, or your own God, which means however you got there, you either made the decision to listen or not to listen. So, and this was just washi tape. I had to cut that out, made the little flowers out of it, just doodling and playing. This was Carolyn Doobie. Does like messy journaling on top of her prints and things like that. So that's what this is, just practicing along with her. So it does say stuff, but you can't really tell it, but it was a good way to put a little background on there. And then one day if I want to put something over it, I can. So this page, I think, didn't go where I wanted it to go, but I left it. So, and again, I'll put something over it. Every time I look at it, I'm like, what happened here? So I don't know, it was trying to get some red down on these hearts, and I'm not sure what happened. This was that string thing everybody was doing. You could dip your string in paint, put it in your books, and slide that out, and that's the designs I got when I tried it. So that's what that is. And then I tried it again with some black. Okay, and these are just little things that my grandkids have given me, and I thought, well, they mean so much to me that, and this is like my prized possession is my art book, so I put them in there. So this is my favorite song, What a Wonderful World by Louis Armstrong, so I put that down on paper. That's always my song dedicated to my children and my family. This was a Sunday Vibes. Here I pieced together, there's a lady laying here, but she's bits and pieces of other things. Her shoes are from another picture, her gown. There's a little dog I cut and paste there, another dog here. So, oh, those Sunday vibes. So this was like Sunday brunch to me, maybe in the old days, that kind of thing, just sitting around talking and resting on Sunday. So that's just my holiday page. Just cut out some pictures that I liked and wanted to keep. This was, I was just sitting at the table one night just doing nothing, and this one says, ho ho no. Apparently he jumps into the chimney. I saw it on TV or something, and anyway, it just made me laugh. So that's all that was just to sit and doodle, and I don't know where I was headed, but that's all it came out to be. This, I just love that little oh hi. That's my initial. This little guy on the swing here, I just thought was adorable. So here's another page just trying backgrounds and textures and things like that. I think it got out of order. I don't know where its other side is, but that's what that is. It's about time, and it's like what you do with it is up to you. This one is my favorite. I thought that I would take her out and frame her, but I haven't. She's safe and sound in here. I cut out each individual leaf. Sorry, I hit the camera. And I did rub-ons onto each leaf. So for me, she's like an angel, just spreading out all the good things in the world that we need. She is actually, I don't remember her name. I cut her out of a cooking magazine. She's a chef, and so in the magazine she's actually looking down cutting something, but I took her out and put her there. So that's like one of my all-time favorite. I love it. There's the other side to that other picture. Everything got a little out of whack when I was trying to take it apart and disassemble it. This is the medieval palace in Dallas, or right outside Dallas, that we went to. I loved it. I had so much memorabilia and ephemera from there, and I didn't want to keep all of it, so I just these circles were from cutouts that we did buttons on, so I just put pictures behind each one of them. There's our picture, and then just little highlights there. And then when you go in, you get to sit with the queen and take your picture. And so I put that in there, just added a little tab. And again, this was just part of the brochure that we got, and so I wanted to just keep bits and pieces of it. And so nothing, this was a gift. I got a really pretty silver cross jewelry box in there, and so I just wanted to keep part of it, and I had the whole box for years, so just made that little tab with that. Again, more of the medieval time. If you haven't been there, it's really fun if you like that kind of thing. These were Valentine roses. I just put the petals down there just to have a place to keep them. Again, just practicing putting down pages and creating some backgrounds, messy doodling on top of that. I really wanted to learn how to draw faces and people, and these were my first tries, and they don't look like real people. And I have lots of drawings that I've done since then, and I think one day will become maybe a book or a story, and I'll use them as characters in my book. This was my Easter page. Oh no, this was just my cross. I cherish you. And again, just cutting out pieces of scrap paper, things like that. So if there was a new technique I saw on TV or on YouTube, here's again one of those cutouts that I put in here, and I'll finish that and do something with it at some point. Again, just some messy journaling on top of just pages that didn't really have any purpose, just pictures that I liked, the animals and things like that. So just put those on there and did some messy journaling. This guy, I was trying to copy and follow along on a YouTube video, and I just, drawing's just apparently not my thing. But anyway, it needed somebody in the swing before I closed it out, and so there's my birds trying to look down on the little guy, and then I found this chipmunk in a book I was looking at, and so there it is. That's what that became of. So anyway, it makes me smile. Amanda, I can't think of her name. I'll try to put it in the link later. Did a Pier 1 version of this tree. Pier 1 apparently has a painting that's expensive, and so we were recreating that. And so that's my version. That's my mock Pier 1 tree. Kind of happy with it. I kind of like it, actually. So I was proud of that because I had never done anything like that. This was just picture or pages that I cut out of brochures or something. Little bottle top there. Just plain. Another one of my pictures. She's really something, but I tell you, drawing might not be my thing, but I'm determined to learn it. So this was with chalk, so they're kind of messy now, but anyway, I think they're cute characters, whether they look like real people or not. And again, I'll put it, she's a little bit a little bold, I think, but again, I'm thinking, like a little women's book or a Bible study or something, and just use them as characters because they look like women of all different parts of the world. Just, I don't know, that's how I see them, just different characters that you would find in your neighborhood. So this one's one of my favorites. This balloon piece I cut pieces out of, and then I just cut the extra pieces in here to fill in the middle. This is just some cloth here. It's messy and it's grungy, and I love it. This was my Easter page. So here, we all know the reason for Easter, what I believe is the reason for Easter, and then we have our Easter bunny at the same time. So this was my mixed page for Easter. So I'm going to flip this one really quick because it's my grandchildren, but this was Lori Marie Jenkins did a piece on cutting out these picture frames, gluing several pieces together, cutting out the frames. She put different images in there, but I couldn't find a more beautiful image than my grandchildren, so that's what I used. This was looks like old patterns, old dresses. It was a scrapbook piece of paper. It was gonna go somewhere. I was trying a technique that I learned. I scrunched up the paper here to make her, and then I kind of lost it, and so that's where it stayed. So I'm okay with that. They just seem like really glamorous ladies from maybe the 50s, and so that's what that is. This, one of my very favorites, open doors. And so again, watching a YouTube video with Lori Marie Jenkins, and so each little house, super fun. They're cut out of cardboard. Their roofs were made separately and then put it all down. and created my little neighborhood here. And then I put the flowers here, like the bicycles parked outside, the more flowers. I think this one doesn't open. Maybe not. So this one opens. This one opens. This one has a little face. I don't know if you can see that if my hand is in the way. Anyway, there's a face I cut out of a magazine behind this one. This is a magazine page that says art. These are my trees, and I just literally cut them out of pieces of paper, put some paint over the top of them, and that's my tree. These are just bits and pieces. And again, little doors open. I cut out some hinges out of a scrapbook magazine I was looking at, and so inside it says open. And I put the little hinges here. Again, here's another little hinge that I cut out, and underneath is a dragonfly. And I don't know if that one opens. Yep, it does. Oh, this one is like everything I looked at, everybody that had something open had an eye in there, so I had to do one myself. So that just has an eye inside looking out. So does this one open? Oh yes, and this one's just my glamorous lady on the inside. So then I did some dots around the edges, and again, it's grungy and I love it. It's one of my favorites as well. So this one came out really purpley and pink, and I didn't love it in the end. I love the idea, and this was another Lori Marie Jenkins inspired. And here's my little tags come out, and they say artistry, passion for paper, and bravissimo, if I could say that right. So anyways, celebrating the fact that I love mixed media and paper and all the things you can do with it. So it says art, altered journal, altered things like that. So just a page to play on. They don't always have to be perfect. All right, this one is one of my favorites. If you watch my videos, you know I go to the Austin Creative Reuse store, and I always buy paper and tablets and things like that, and some of them have been used, but they've been donated. So I don't even know what happened here. That'll need to be fixed. So in one of the books that I bought was a little girl, apparently like in the 3rd grade, had written a story, and it says, there is only one giraffe. His name is Remy. The giraffe lives in Africa. Africa is the hottest continent. There are deserts in Africa. Remy feels very warm. Remy goes to Paris. He goes to Paris in a helicopter. Paris is not hot. Remy is very content. So I had to save that story, and I had cards with giraffes on them. So this will be Remy. And this was, I'm trying to try a new technique with the girl who does Let's Make Art, and I didn't do it very well. So anyway, that's my background, but I fell in love with that little story. So this is just a scrap page because I was working on this. This is my hand, and then I filled it in with the florals there. Again, this is my hand, but it's messy journaling, so there's a whole story there with my journaling for the day, but you can't tell it. It really does looks like swirls. So, and here's a page here dedicated to my dad. The other day when I was thinking about it, I realized that 28 years ago to that day, I was 28 and he was 48, and my dad passed away at 48. So anyway, that was kind of interesting to me that 28 years ago I was 28 and you were 48, and I miss you still. And so it's a picture of my dad years and years ago, and just some paper, ribbon, things like that around it. It says the real pain is when you say my dad was, and his voice, please don't let me forget his voice. And this was some old slide that I found, and that's me and my dad there. So that was a page dedicated to my dad. So this was, I have this material, and it's got kind of folk art looking American flags in the background. So this is my 4th of July tribute. Here's a little pocket here with just some mesh that I have. America's a beautiful, home of the brave. Let freedom ring. It's messy and bulky and grungy, just the way I like it. So I think I was going to hang charms or something from here, but I never did do that. I'm in love with this material. I still have some, and I always was going to just frame it. Found it at the thrift store, so it's not a huge piece, but anyway, I love it. This was my giant shaker card. It's a birthday card from my parents, my mom and stepdad. But this packaging came off of some muffins that we bought, and it was raised up, and I thought, wow, that'd be a giant shaker card, so that's exactly what I did with it. And so inside I put hearts and sequins and all of that in there, and they still tend to come out, but that's what that is. And there's my mom, my stepdad's signature. But anyway, that's what's behind there. This is just a card I was playing with the butterfly wings. Found a little picture of a baby doll there, put that on there, so I think that turned out cute. So I always try to do my pages in two, so I always try to get the other page to kind of match. Again, I was working on something Lori Marie Jenkins inspired. I don't look like I finished it, so, but here's my butterflies I had cut out and put on here, and this was about cutting in a window. She put a heart, I think it's stuck with the glue. Anyway, she has a window and she put a heart in hers. It's supposed to be open so you can see this through the other side, but it looks like it's stuck. But so anyway, just poked holes out around the side, punched holes, and then tied it with some yarn, and it should just be in there free so that you can see behind it. And that's what that is. So I'll have to unstick that. These are just extra pages. This was my son goofing off in my art book, so I just left that there. And that is it. That's my big bulky kind of, I don't know, when I took it apart, try to put it all back together, it's a little bit worse for wear, but this was a year of learning and figuring out that I love art and different kinds of art and mixed media, trying to learn how to paint, again, trying to draw faces, things like that, and I'm learning different techniques and follow along. So that's been a whole different excursion for me. So here's my big fat chunky art book. Promised you I'd show it to you. This is it. It's big and it's a mess, and but it's a lot of experience for me, a lot of memories for me. And again, when I'm long gone, hopefully my children hang on to it and they'll realize that every bit of that was because they inspire me and they encourage me, and I learned so much from so many people. YouTube videos, different groups I've joined on Facebook, I've learned so much from everybody. So it's been a really great experience, and I've learned to do quite a bit. So I've learned that you can take drawing and painting and all kinds of mixed medias and put them all together and create wonderful things, and it doesn't have to cost a whole lot, and it's a great way to express yourself. And I couldn't do an oil painting of a landscape for you, but I could sure put a mixed media piece together for you. So that's my book. Thanks for sharing time with me. I appreciate it. I'll get into something again here pretty quick, and then we'll talk again soon. Bye.